In this demo, we're going to cover customer communications. With RepairTRAX, there's already automated text and emails that can be sent, but you can also now record phone conversations, send an email through RepairTRAX and have it saved and stored, or send a text through RepairTRAX and have it saved and stored. So the first thing I'm going to do is jump over to the admin center and show you what I have set up as far as automated messages. Once in the admin center, I'm going to select messages. The default is customer messages, which is what I want. I have two key messages set up. One is the reason for service work log entry. That's when the item first comes in and you type why the item is there for service. A text and or email will be automatically sent if the customer is sent to receive them. So let's take a look at that. As you can see on the reason for service work log entry, I have both a custom text and email ready to send out. Some of the email contains keywords from the database that's automatically filled out. This is covered in a different demo, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. Just remember that on reason for service, I send a text and or email depending on the customer settings. And the same thing goes for closed, ready for payment. That's the work log entry that triggers the ticket is closed and ready for pickup, and automatically will notify the customer according to their settings. So now I'm going to create a new ticket and demonstrate how the automated messaging along with manual messaging can be recorded and saved. First I'll click New Ticket and then fill out a few items on the form. The last name of this customer starts with NEW, so I'm just going to enter in that and do a search. That's the customer I was looking for, so I'm going to go ahead and select him. Now I'm going to scroll down a bit and focus on the contact information. Notice that for John, he's set up to communicate via phone and text. So I have the phone number, which is always required, but I also have his text phone and his cell provider. John brought in a computer bag, so I'm going to go ahead and mark that. And then click Submit to continue on with the new ticket wizard. Okay, I'm going to fill out a couple more items on the new ticket wizard, and then we should have a new ticket. So let's get that done. I'm going to scroll down a bit. This store requires a completion date, so I'm going to go ahead and enter in that. I have a default assigned to, but since I'm working this ticket, I'm going to go ahead and change that. And then enter in a simple reason for service phrase. And then submit my ticket. Okay, so here's today's tickets, and within the ticket list, notice that right by each customer there's a small little messaging icon that you can click to either communicate with the customer or review what you've communicated already with the customer history. So let's take a look at that. Here I chose Kathy Smith, and I think Kathy's set up to receive text, email, and phone communication, so let's take a look at how that looks. And assuming I wanted to communicate with Kathy, I would select either phone message, email, or text, and then enter in the communications. So let's take a look at what email looks like. Notice that for an email message, I have a subject and also the message body that I need to enter. Once I push submit, it would send an email to Kathy and also record it in RepairTRAX. If I change the communication type to text, I get an area where I can type in the text message and a reminder that says I can only do 100 characters. In the upper left-hand corner, there's a history link, so let's see what that looks like. Notice that the communications is only for this ticket. So if you had this item serviced in a prior ticket, you won't see those messages. You're only going to see the messages that are communicated via this particular work order. Notice that since Kathy was set up for both automated text and automated email, when I entered the new ticket, the reason for service triggers these two messages. Once history is shown, I can just click the link again and it'll hide it. I'm not going to send a message, I'm just going to cancel, so let's do that. Besides using the tiny message icon next to the customer's name, there's also a listing in the ticket drop down, so let's take a look at that. In the customer section, there's a email, text, or call entry, so let's choose that. Notice it's just the same as if I would have clicked the small icon next to the customer's name. Let's take a look at John Newman's options. Notice that it says no email address set, so obviously we can't send John an email. But we can record a phone message, or make phone message notes, and we can also send him a text because he's set up for that. Since John was set up for a text message to be automatically sent to him upon ticket creation, we should see that in the history. Let's take a look. There it is, as expected. Now let's close out this box. Now I'm going to work on this ticket. I could either use the drop down and select View Edit Ticket, or click the tiny little edit icon on the top. Let's do that. Notice the little messaging icon next to the customer's name is also on the ticket, which brings up that little dialog box. But right now, I'm just going to start working on this ticket, so I'm going to record that in the work log. I scrolled down a bit first, and now I'm going to set myself as working on this ticket. I have my work log entry set up to automatically grab the item that I'm servicing and create that sentence in the details without typing anything. Pretty cool. So all I have to do is save. Okay, the work log shows that I'm working on it, but now let's pretend I have a couple questions I need to ask John. So I'm going to go ahead and give him a phone call, but also make a note that I did do this phone call. Here's how I do it. First I'll click the little messaging icon, and then select phone call or phone message. Now I'll make some notes about the call I just placed. And then save it. Now I'm ready to add parts and labor, so I need to scroll down first. And then click the Add Parts and Labor button. Search for the glass part. There it is, that's the part I want. I'll just add it. After reviewing the information, everything looks right, there's no discount, and I'm just going to submit to go back to the ticket. And scroll down a bit so I can see what it was added. Okay, now I'm done with this ticket, so I'm going to go ahead and close this ticket out. Let's do that. I'm going to select Closed, Ready for Payment, which should also trigger an automated message to John. Again, I have my work log set up to automatically compose the sentence in the details. All I need to do now is click Submit to save. Now let's take a peek at the communication history for John Newman. I'll use the little icon here and select the Show History option. Well, there we go. There's our automated text to when we created the ticket, my phone call, and my automated text sent to him when the item was ready for pickup. Pretty cool. Since this ticket is closed, it should be in the pickup area. Let's take a look. There it is. Also notice that the notified date was already automatically set because I sent a text message to him when I closed out the ticket. So he's been notified. He knows the ticket's complete. But look at the other two tickets in pickup. Neither one of them have been notified. So let's take a look at how we can communicate with them in different ways. One way is to just set as notified. When you do that, there is no message communications. You're just saying, they're notified. There's no recording of a message. There's no listing in the communications. And one way that you can do that is through the Group Action taskbar at the very top by selecting the tickets that you want to modify and then assigning an action to them. So let's kind of see how that's done. I'm going to select both tickets, and then I'm going to show you the action of set as notified, but I'm not going to execute it. I'm just going to show you how you can do this. Remember, if you do this, there is no database entry as far as messaging goes. As you can see, set as notified is one of the action items, and if I clicked on that, both those tickets would be notified with today's date. I'm going to undo my checks. Now I'm going to show you a different way to just set as notified using the options drop-down. Check this out. I just go down to the customer section and click on set as notified. Notice that Pauline Kern has now been set and notified. Let's see how we can notify Bill Smith down here at the bottom using messaging with a recorded message. I'm just going to say I called him, so let's record that action. And then click Submit to save. And notice how the notification date has been updated for Bill. Now, let's go over to the reports and see all the messages we sent to any individual. Within the report section, there's the customer messages report, so that's the one I want. Let's look at the messages for Kathy Smith within the last few days. This is how you would do that. Okay, it's that easy. Here's the last few messages within the last few days to customer Kathy Smith. Notice that the icon on the far right lets you view any particular message. Let's see what that looks like. Well, there it is. Let's close out the box and be done. Okay, that's it for this demo. Enjoy.